I don't know, how did that all come together? How did you know you wanted to just completely rebuild and get all this, you know?
We finished 7th. We knew we had to make changes. Not necessarily because the players weren't good enough last year, but I think the way we wanted to play the game, some of them just didn't fit. And there were players out there that we identified that we thought would fit into our system and the way that we want to play the game. And we went about trying to get them, and thankfully we've done all right.
Can I ask you what your thing for Portland Pilots is?
Portland Pilots play a similar style of soccer to us. I've seen them play quite often. I watched them play the Thorns last year, and from that, I think it was probably in March time, maybe the beginning of April. And from that day on, I said I want Amanda Frisbee. I thought Ellen Parker had a good season, and I think she can learn fantastically well off Kim Little. I don't think there's many better you could learn off in that position. Frisbee gives us massive flexibility. She's proven that she can play as a forward, and that night against the Thorns, I'm sure those players remember her greatly, or not so great, and she proved this year she can play as a defender. So I think with a 20-player roster you need flexibility, and she brings it, and I think she's exceptional in both positions. So you know, she will, I think for her it's what's going to be the best position in the pros, because it's definitely a different level of soccer. So I just think she's got the ability to play anywhere.
Well, this won't be the first year that the Reign have had to deal with Megan Rapinoe's schedule, but how much of a challenge is it integrating her into the team in the middle of the season?
It's not a challenge to integrate her because she's a fantastic player. The challenge is that last year, which I think we didn't do well, was we waited. We waited for Megan, and we can't do that this year. So we've set about creating a roster where we're not waiting for Megan. Obviously, we'd love to have her back from day one. But we've gone about getting signings in that allow us to have the flexibility that when Megan arrives, you know, we're not solely waiting for her. Sydney LaRue, Kim Little, Bev Goebel, maybe a few others will help with that. I'll say no more on that. Yeah, no, they'll help. And I think last year we just sat back and went, oh, we'll be okay. You know, she's back in June. And obviously at the time we didn't know that Amy Rodriguez was pregnant, which would have been a massive help. So yeah, we've just prepared rather than waited in the short answer.
Do you have a vision in your mind right now about where Frisbee will play, if things go perfectly?
I'm pretty flexible on it. I think that's for her. That's her challenge. She, you know, for any player coming out of college to step up to the pros, it's difficult. I truly believe she's got the ability to play at this level, and I think she has to stamp her authority in our roster, which is going to be tough, on where she thinks is her best position. And I'm flexible enough with her, and we've got enough flexibility within our roster to allow her to do that. We didn't have that last year. We relied a lot on our, you know, Christine Nairn, our first round draft pick. And thankfully this year, I think Amanda Rann, Ellen and Megan Brigman will be true assets to the roster, but they're in a better fold this year because there's not going to be that much pressure on them that there was for the college draft last year.
From your GM perch, how are season ticket sales going? Do you expect an increase in attendance?
Yeah, and we've got a few announcements in the next couple of weeks, which I think will help with that too. Obviously, some of the signings we've already made have helped with that. And I think Seattle's a city where if you're doing well, people want to come and see you. And I think we've got to prove to the city of Seattle that we've set our stall out. We're a club that's here to stay, and we want to be a club that's successful.
Will you be playing at Starfire this upcoming year?
Nothing's been signed yet.
If not, for those of us who are not from out there, what are some of the other venues that you might consider?
We've looked at a few different options. I think for me, Seattle's a fantastic soccer city. There's lots of different environments that you could play, and that you've got to weigh up. I'm a coach. You've got to weigh up the field. You've got to weigh up, is it going to be right for the players? And then you've got to, from my GM role, you've got to say, right, how many people can it sit? How many people can you get through the gate? How many people can you eventually get into your stadium? So we've had to sort of weigh up all those types of things. Starfire were fantastic to us last year, took us on very late. But you know, we haven't signed anything with them yet, and they're definitely not out of the question, to be
Does
honest.
the playing surface matter? Turf versus grass?
Don't really have much of a choice in Seattle.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the UW and University of Washington and Seattle University have unbelievable grass fields, but there's just not enough room to get people in to watch. So that sort of rules them out from my GM role. But, you know, I think anyone who's true to soccer loves playing on grass. I think it would be wrong to deny that, but as Levy says, it's hard to find that, and that's why so many teams in this league don't play on that. It's not because necessarily it's a choice, it's because there's just not the facilities yet. And, you know, you go with what you got, but it'll be a fantastic venue, whatever we choose to do.
When do you anticipate announcing that?
I think next couple of weeks we've got a few other announcements maybe along the way that will link into that. And I think we will probably look to do things maybe end of January, beginning of February. Nothing confirmed yet.
Thanks a lot.
No worries.